So beginning point, very important to know. All children who die go to heaven.
It's quite stunning because the teaching in Swedenborg's day, and I imagine in some areas of the world still, is that only Christian baptized children would go to heaven and the rest wouldn't. And that's part of the incentive to get kids baptized. And Swedenborg said, no. No, it's 100%.
That's one of the reasons why people don't like religion or don't like Christianity, is they'll say the example, but wait a second, what about somebody who's born on the other side of the world, never had a chance to? So what happens?
Some innocent little kid that, did nothing wrong.
If you just see any baby, it doesn't matter where you are, whose baby it is, you see any baby and you're like, that is so great. That thing is so great, and you just immediately want to here, let me get out of the way. We want that thing to be safe and happy and having a great time.
That's right.
Can God not feel the same way?
Yeah, it's
Can
impossible.
God not feel the same way? Do we not get
God
that feeling
just
from
sort
God?
of turning his back on.
These extra, This is Heaven and Hell 329. Every child who dies, no matter where he or she was born, within the church or outside of it, of devout or irreverent parents, is accepted by the Lord after death, brought up in heaven, taught according to the divine design, and filled with affections for what is good, and through them with direct knowledge of the truth. And then, being continually perfected in intelligence and wisdom, all such individuals are led into heaven and become angels. Anyone who thinks rationally can realize that no one is born for hell. Everyone is born for heaven. We ourselves are to blame if we arrive in hell, but children are not yet liable for any blame.
Yeah, I see. And he never specifies sort of a cutoff age, sort of like in the criminal justice system where he's tried as an adult.
That's right.
I don't know what that age is in there.
Before we start to get to there is a new set of questions, which is wait a second. If all children go to heaven, wouldn't it be better if everybody died as a child?
That's a fundamental question. Yeah.
Before we get to that, just sit for a minute and say, that's how it should be. Every child who dies, doesn't matter what their religious upbringing was, and doesn't matter what kind of parents they had.
You don't get doomed by your parents. It's a very merciful teaching.
We don't doom our children. Devout or irreverent parents, accepted by the Lord after death, and not just accepted, but brought up in heaven.
Yeah.
Raised
in heaven by the best, the sweetest, most loving people.
Taught according to the divine design. So it's just like life continues, and kids are there. They need to be raised. They need to be taught.
Yeah, no shade to parents on earth, but these people in the other world who are taking care of children really understand that divine design. They know how learning takes place. They know all the stage, so they can really cooperate with that whole process.
Right. Okay.
It still, I think, would be preferable. I don't think the Lord ever wants a child to die. That's a horrible
So it's
thought,
important and everyone's not familiar with Swedenborg's concept of divine providence. So there's the Lord is running all the details of life.
Yeah.
And divine providence does guide everything that happens. However, there's different classes of things that happen.
I love the nuance of that.
Yeah.
Who else says that? But he says that, no, there's things that the Lord really loves and wants. There's other things that he kind of has to put up with, because to violate that the whole thing would collapse. So having to have freedom.
Yep.
There's various different things that you just, it's beyond our comprehension.
At one point, Swedenborg breaks it down as there's things that divine providence wills, there's things that divine providence accepts, and there's things that divine providence tolerates.
Yeah.
So the things that divine providence wills are when everything's in the divine design, which is how things are supposed to be.
That's how it's supposed to go.
And when things are how things are supposed to be is that every person would live to a nice old age and die peacefully and comfortably.
Exactly. That's plan A.
Then anything that deviates from that is, as you said, we don't need to get into the problem of evil conversation here, but it's because there's a big complex thing And the goal is eternity. That the goal is that you should be able to be as happy as you can be forever, and that he needs to get us to where we can go, be as happy as we can be forever.
And I do gradually, as I go through my life, start to trust more and more that divine wisdom knows what it's doing. It may not seem like it, but somehow the system is fair behind the scenes, and it all works out in the long run.
Yeah, like okay. So I missed my sister, missed her my whole life. I guess I don't. It's hard to remember it a lot now, but I'm gonna see her someday, and it's gonna be great. And we're gonna continue on. We'll pick up where we left off.
Fascinating for me to meet my brother. Imagine having a sibling you've never met.
But ultimately, it's that because and then, I will be hanging out with her forever. Like there's no ratio between the time we were apart and the time that we were together. So that's what Providence is looking at. It's not like Providence is uncaring though, or is not realizing the things we go through here, but ultimately how it should. I'm just trying to say, like, it's all going to be okay in the end. God tries to make it okay now. Can't always do it. However, one thing we're seeing, we'll lift up the curtain here and see what seemed like part of the tragedy when a child dies is that they were just starting life. They wanted to get to live more life.
Yeah.
But actually, they keep living right on like the next moment. They're still growing up, and they're still who they are.
They're still children. They're still who they are. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, speaking of that, the next number is about how children are still children in the afterlife. Children who die are still children in the other life. They have the same kind of childlike mind, the same innocence in their ignorance, the same total delicateness. They are only in the rudiments of becoming angels. For children are not angels in being, but only angels in becoming. Actually, everyone who leaves this world stays in the same state of life. A baby is in the state of a baby, a child in the state of a child, an adolescent or adult or senior in the state of an adolescent, an adult, or a senior. However, this state eventually changes.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, because you might think some of these characteristics are just because of your physical body. It's just some arbitrary thing that, okay, you were physically a child in this world, but maybe your spirit is. Some people talk about kids as having they're an old soul or that sort of thing. They seem to have this wisdom and so on. But this suggests that the body is just a vehicle for having that spiritual development. And if you only got to 5 years old or 10 or 15, that's it. The video game just goes on from there. That's the level that you're on, and you take it from there. And I think the same thing applies to, it's different to be 30 than it is to be 40 or 50 or 60 or 70. Those are all different stages. And so for all of us, this is really universal teaching that we all just pick right up seamlessly. That's how far we got. And it continues. And that takes it's absolutely tragic when a child dies. It's unimaginably painful and hard. And but it takes a little of the sting out of it, doesn't it? That it's not that you're. Yes, there's certain things you won't experience in this world, but this process was not cut short. You weren't deprived of.
Right.
You get to keep going. We all do.
Yes.
We all do. Yeah.
There was a couple whose son was killed, who had been watching our show and wrote. We actually ended up doing an episode with them.
I remember that.
It's called Angels After Terrorism.
Very powerful.
Their son was killed in a terrorist attack. And he was older. I think he was 18 or something.
Yeah.
But I remember his mom saying that one thing that was powerful to her, really powerful to her about Swedenborg's detailed description of heaven, is that then she could imagine what her son was doing. And could actually, what you wouldn't know his particulars, but does he have a life there? Like, does he go and do things? Does he have a job? Like, does he have friends? Like that knowing that, he's there, just going and doing things. That means a lot. And I think too, with children, they're still them. They're still them, and they're still doing what you
Yeah.
think they need to do.
Yeah, one sort of I think it's kind of an unfortunate byproduct of a concept of reincarnation is that it kind of takes away the idea that different people are separate and unique. You know, that you just cycle around and become somebody else or something.
Right.
I like Swedenborg's idea. No. That was a particular person. You know, they may have had physical problems, they may have had mental, emotional problems, whatever, but that was a particular kind of slice of vessel for the divine.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not going to be thrown out. That will be that same person, only better when you see them again.
Yeah.
And they're not going to cycle around somewhere. Like, oh, sorry, I missed you. You know, oh,
Yeah.
no, I cycled around.
I know a lot of people like the idea of reincarnation. I can see some things about that. That to me has always been a sticking point. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a second. I want to see this person. I want them again, you know?
Right. I personally, I would love to be recycled. You know? Sometimes I devoutly long for that. But
No, we need-
the Lord
no.
has a different plan.
We need you to
different-
be you. We need you to be you. Okay, so let's talk about what happens right after a child is reawakened. As soon as children are reawakened, which happens immediately after their death.
Immediately,
Yeah, I think it's
Good.
important too.
boom,
That
smooth transition.
for all people, that there have been ideas that you wait a long time or you're in some kind of weird state.
limbo or something.
But it's like, it's very human. It's like, no, we're right here for you. That's right. And people who have a near-death experience can attest to this. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm right here.
Boom. That's right. And people at all ages have near-death experiences, don't they? They're near-death
right.
experiences from children and
That's right.
teenagers and young adults and so on.
As soon as children are reawakened, which happens immediately after their death, they are taken to heaven and given to female angels who had loved children tenderly during their physical lives and had loved God as well. Since in this world they had loved all children with a kind of maternal tenderness, they accept these new ones as their own, and the children love their mothers as though this were inborn in them. Each such angel has as many children as her spiritual maternal nature wants. Before I get to that, because this is going to get into some weird Swedenborg grand human location, but let's just pause there. I mean, so you've got they're not just, they're just taken care of by, like, they're in some temple and God is around, and there's a very, very human, although there's somebody who loves them who's going to be their you know, new mom or stepmom or however you want to put it. This is person's going to care for them, and they're going to receive the same kind of care, you know, obviously from a different person, but with that same one-on-one attention and love. And there's people who specialize in this.
Yeah. And it's wild to think, because in this world, for most people, you go through a child raising phase. Not everybody, you know, has that opportunity or whatever, but you go through a phase of raising children, and then the empty nest, and then you know, move on with your life. Interesting to think of people who to eternity will be parenting. Like, that's what they love, you know.
I believe it. I know some of those people. Okay, so now let's get a little Swedenborg weird. Okay.
Okay,
But
I already thought that was a little weird, but you know.
Well, no, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, okay.
But I was just saying, it's a very human thing. Like, you wake up right away. There's a person is right there to take care of you. Let's go a little farther into the human thing, because now we're going to talk about the grand human, which is
the
idea that all of heaven is kind of like one big person.
Such a wild idea.
This was a major insight of Swedenborg's, that, you know, the body of Christ, that heaven is like a single person, in that all the different things that need to go on in the body to make it go, those are like all the things that each of us do to make heaven go, or make human society go. So these angels that take care of kids have a place in that body. Okay, that's enough preface. It's still going to sound weird. This heaven can be seen in the forward part of the forehead, directly on the line or radius along which angels look at the Lord. The reason for this location is that children are under the direct care of the Lord. Into them flows the heaven of innocence, which is the third heaven.
So on the gaze, by the forehead, but it's on that line of sight.
Somehow it means right under the focus of God.
Yes. Yeah. Which is a beautiful thought, because it could feel like, I mean, some children die in a hospital or in some other situation, but some are just, forgotten kids are homeless or whatever,
Right.
But they're all held and carried,
Right place, right environment, right people.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough one to get through.
Yes, it will.
It's going to be a tough show to get through. Okay, and into them flows the heaven of innocence, which is the third heaven. Those are the people that are in heaven that are the closest to the Lord. By the way, children in this world have that heaven of innocence flowing into them. That's why they're like they are.
Yes.
Why
right.
why do babies and little kids have that sphere of innocence? It's because they are open to this deepest part of heaven. That's like makes them who and what they are, and so there's the connection continues. You can think of that heaven as like childhood itself. That's where the innocence from God comes in to the people who are the most innocent, and from there comes into all of us.
What a beautiful quality!
And was in you, still is in you, in your remains.
At the deepest core, right? It's like it's in other layers of the tree might have been added on, but that's still the heartwood is in there.
And childhood has a function that it puts this innocence in each one of us. Like, and no matter what kind of childhood you have, there's states of happiness and innocence in there that God stores up deep in your soul, and then those are used throughout your life to steer you and protect you. This is like to keep you on the right path. I mean, so that heaven of innocence is imprinted in everybody. So they're there, but they don't stay. I mean, they continue to grow and develop like anyone else.
They're still going through a process.
That's right. This is Heaven and Hell 331.